We wanted to cover a video on training aids, something that we both use quite a bit in lessons and for ourselves.
So most of you have watched my videos know that I don't use a ton of training aids, but the ones I use, I tend to use quite often because I like them.
Yep.
I think most training aids are kind of gimmicky and don't do that much, but there are a few really good ones.
Yep.
And here we brought out some of the ones that I actually like and I believe in, and that I use in my lessons, and that I think that you should all have.
Awesome. Well, let's start with the hanger. You got that one in your hands.
Sweet. So the hanger, it can be this hanger, the hanger, or a hanger. It doesn't matter which one, if you understand how to attach it. Now the key is, the way that the hanger is designed is it has a face on it. They want you to set it up with the face matching your club face. I don't want you to do that. I like the hanger set up so that when I grip it, the hanger rests on my right arm. And then if my wrists work how I like wrists to work, when I hinge my trail wrist into extension, the hanger moves from my right wrist, or my right forearm, to my left forearm. And then if I swing that down, I can maintain that connection all the way down. So for me, it's really good to train you how to use your wrists. And it gives you some feedback immediate. So if I flip at it, I can feel that go to the right wrist, the right forearm. So for me, this is an awesome training aid. It's one that I use a lot.
And you've seen some players, even Phil Mickelson, I remember using either that one or something similar. Can you hit one just in slow motion for us? And
yeah.
And when you do these drills and use training aids, tee it up if you can, at least starting out. It's always kind of recommended that when you're moving slow, just take it easy on yourself, right? Anytime
I'm doing something that's different than my normal, it's on a tee. In most of my practice sessions, it's on a tee just because I don't like to chew up grass. So, okay, so I'm just going to slow motion hit a golf ball with it.
I bottled that one up. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, not bad, huh? Okay.
All right, so now if we go to the next one here.
Here we've got another training aid Henry's got in his hand, and he brought this one back from their trip over to the British Open. It's a really good training aid. It's, what's this one called? The TRS?
Yep, tour rotation stick.
So the tour rotation stick, it's basically kind of like putting an alignment stick in your hands, only you don't have to hold it in your hands, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt as bad when it hits you.
Yeah, it's not going to rattle around as much, so you just kind of pin it to the top here. And when you set it up, I would use like a sand wedge or pitching wedge. Anything above that just becomes a little problematic, I've found. But definitely meant for sort of chips, pitches, three-quarter shots sort of thing.
And what's it helping you with?
Yeah, so when you set up here, it goes outside your left hip socket. And as you come back into impact, right, ideally that shaft's leaning, you're starting to rotate out of the way. If you get flippy,
you get whacked. So it gives you some feedback right away. You know that you unloaded your wrists too soon.
Right, so two things you really like are rotation and this right wrist angle, right?
For sure.
So this guy covers both, if you think about it, because you got to keep this right wrist angle.
Yep.
And then you got to clear and rotate out of the way.
Perfect. Definitely one of the training aids that I use with my students.
Yep. So, and ideally, if you do want, let me just chip one here. You can see how that goes back around me, and the face stays pretty square on there.
Awesome. So that's an awesome aid. Okay. Yep. Now on the ground here we've got a few more. I want to start with the ball because this is one that students who have come out and taken lessons with me, you know, if you've got some bad structure problems, a lot of times the ball is one of the things I'll make you do.
Yep.
So how does this work, Henry?
Yeah, so you're going to put it, depending on your arm structure and the size of your body and all that stuff. For me, I'd probably put it right between my elbows. If you had something smaller, it could move its way down a little bit.
Yep.
So right in here.
So face the camera and show.
Yep. So one thing you like a lot too is the pivot, right?
Yep.
So this keeps everything kind of connected.
So that's where I start with it. I start with kind of a little turn drill. That's, in a lot of my videos, that's step number 1. So I love people to learn how to turn with arm structure. Okay? And then once we can do that, step number 2 is we start adding in some levers.
Yep.
But do we want our elbows to separate when we do that?
No, we're kind of keeping everything sort of together.
Yeah, so you can add in some wrist hinge and a little fold in your elbow without letting that right arm get too far away. So that's a really good training aid. It's one that I use a lot. Perfect.
Yeah, that's a good one. And you can do it at home. You don't have to hit balls with that.
Yeah, you don't even need to hit balls. You just train yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we've got some other funny looking things down here. Most of us have something like this at home. This is an elastic band or stretch tubing. You can do the same thing. What do we do with this?
Yeah, so there's a couple exercises I really like. If you don't mind holding this for me, if you pin it to a wall or something around a post, doing some sort of external rotation with the shoulder.
Yep.
Right? Because that's a move that you'd ideally like in the downswing instead of the opposite. Right? And then the other one for me, let's flip around real quick, is if you have it pinned this way and do basically a golf swing with just your trail arm, or like if you were skipping a rock, right? So my arm would go this way. When I do this though, I'm not pulling with my arm, I'm simply rotating.
So you're pushing your left hip around the corner.
Exactly. So this is a really nice feel I'll do at the end of a workout or, at home. Again, some of these you can do away from the golf course.
Awesome.
So the last one, this is pretty cool. This was designed by a physical therapist. I think he's out of South Korea. And it's called the rotator. And it has numerous applications. A lot of it is more like, let's say, a rotator cuff surgery. Or
it was originally designed for rehab of rotator cuffs.
Yeah.
So you can gain mobility back into your rotator cuff, right?
Right.
But it's also got some really good uses for rotation and learning how to get your body to turn.
Yeah, and the one that you'll see, the exercise you'll see the most is kind of put your left hand on here, put your right elbow in the padding here, and then grip this. And then you sort of make this golf swing. And you see what it does with the elbow getting back in front of you.
And the wrist.
And the wrist.
So it gives you the conditions that I like to see in a golf swing.
Right. So
Perfect.
Very cool. A lot of applications. There's a bunch of like rotational stuff you can do with it. Open up things up.
They have very good videos on what all you can do with it. But for me, the main application I use is the one you did there. Learning how to pivot and maintain this trail wrist condition.
Yeah. So these are some great training aids you can use, whether you're practicing or again at home when you're really trying to kind of build up some sensations for what you're trying to, accomplish.
Awesome.